Hey everybody, I am here with James and Michelle from Ska Studios, and we are going to be talking about Salt and Sanctuary, some of their other games, and hopefully what's next. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves for the people who might not know who you are?
I'll go second.
Okay. Hi, I'm Michelle Silva. I'm one half of Ska Studios. I guess on our team I do art and business stuff and just all these miscellaneous things that need to be done on a business team for making games.
And I'm James. I'm the other half. And I guess I do everything else. Uh, then together we make some games happen. Yeah, just do all the we do a bunch of design and planning and art and coding and all that stuff.
Yeah, so you
And
guys are kind of in a weird space, right, where you're obviously an indie team, but you don't, a lot of people don't have that perception of you,
I
necessarily.
don't.
I have a hard time knowing what people perceive us as. I know we do hear a lot like, oh, it's surprising you're only two people because of what we do. Um, yeah, but otherwise I don't really know how people view us.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess like I feel like the way we make games is kind of, to jump into it, like kind of not normal to, like, I think a lot of indie games are all about like a lot of them start with a mechanic that's like, here's a mechanic, it's new, it's different, let's build a game around it. I think our style has more just been like what's like a big game that we like. Okay, how could we imagine that as something that we could go ahead and make? And it's been more of like it feels more like a fan driven approach, or like a genre love driven approach, than it does just about the normal one, the previous one, where it's just about building a game around a mechanic. um, the most recent of ours being Salt and Sanctuary, which is obviously a very, very Souls inspired game. But even going back to the Dishwasher games, those were like Devil May Cry's, Ninja Gaiden kind of thing. And that's like, I mean, I've loved those kinds of games, and I'll play a game and I'll be like, what would it be like to make this, play with these mechanics and play with these themes, and what can we do with this? It's kind of like a tinkering. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, I think a lot of studios do this, but there's a lot of iteration in our work. We start out with like a basic idea and then just work over it again and again until it's somewhere where we like it and it's really fun for us.
hmm
So do you guys just work nonstop constantly? Because especially as a two-person indie studio, your production is like through the roof. And normally people that put out that volume of games, it's essentially shovelware. Where, I mean, the quality in your games is evident.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess.
actually, we're kind of, I mean, like we've been sort of dialed back in terms of the intensity since Salt and Sanctuary launched. Now it's like a lot of housekeeping, and then we're kind of keeping up on the Vita ports being handled by someone else, but we're doing there's still a bit of work to be done, and I'm still working on patching all of the versions that are out there. This is totally different. In the past, we would just have one SKU on Xbox 360. Now it's like, and this is like just two platforms, and it's driving me, well, soon to be three, and it's driving me crazy. It's PS4, but it's also like, we have a different build for America and Europe, because that's just how they do that. And then we also have Steam, and like keeping track of all three SKUs and getting everything all on the same page. It's a new and horrible experience, and I
Yeah.
can't even imagine how it's done with like, like uh, Retro City Rampage. It's on like 8 platforms or so, and that's one guy too. Oh, thanks, Gato. The cat just knocked me over. But yeah, I mean, there's still like a weird amount of work to just kind of keep all the housekeeping going.
Yeah. Yeah, right now we're taking a more relaxed approach, but definitely right before the launch of the game, it is
Oh
just
yeah, that was
nonstop work.
yeah.
James gets up in the morning, he sits down and starts typing away and just
Yeah.
just basically constantly working. And we would try to stop ourselves around 6 or 7 and take a break, and like play other games. but it was just a lot of nonstop work before launch.
Yeah, and I mean a lot of like how we got to be so productive is just I've been using the same tools to that like I started building these tools way back in like 2007-ish for the Dishwasher Dead Samurai, and I've been iterating on them and just making them better and faster and more easy to use, and you know I've also been learning a lot about how to best, you know, build content and design. Like most of my design just kind of revolves around combat. I really just love 2D combat. You know, it's been about kind of honing and developing a skill. So you know, I mean that's kind of can sort of lead to why there's just so much content in Salt and Sanctuary, and it was you know, just the 2.5-3 year effort. I know you can see the cat right there. This is audio, so people won't be able to see the cat.
It's a cute cat, though.
But
Y'all are
there's
missing
always
out.
a cat involved, especially if we start talking.
There's
She
a
likes to be
cat.
involved.
There she is.
Yeah, so you were one of the
Gotcha.
few developers I talked to at PAX who isn't using Unity, and
Oh, yeah.
that was surprising. So because it seems
Yeah.
almost synonymous with game development now.
Yeah, no, we've been using. I mean, it was like for me, I went from like learning how to make games. My first like language system for making games was Visual Basic 6 and DirectX 7. Was you could I mean, it was kind of like a weird thing that someone figured out how to do at that time, and I was like going to community college at the time, and I learned how to do that, and then, you know, I mean, from that it was like transitioning to Java was okay, but I never figured out how to really make games with Java. That was just something that I missed. But from there, you know, Microsoft released XNA, which was the C# plus I mean, it's C# as a language, and then XNA framework just basically did all the media, you know, audio, video, all that stuff, and I really liked. I mean, I really like just being able to type out a game. Unity is very much. Actually, it's funny. Unity is what a lot of people were hoping XNA would be when Microsoft announced XNA. They wanted something like a drag and drop thing where you could just, you know, put down a scene and drag in, you know, like I want to do an instant first person shooter. Okay, drop it in. There's your first person shooter. But that's never what I wanted specifically, because I like designing the code bases and everything. You know, as Unity took off, like a few developers, myself included, just kind of like, you know, hunkered down and said, no, we will bear this XNA torch. You know, long after Microsoft canceled and got rid of XNA, and now, you know, now XNA lives on as an open source framework called Monogame. There's actually two. There's Monogame and FNA. So our Steam build, the PC one is actually still XNA, but the Mac and Linux ones are FNA, and then our PS4 build is Monogame, and then our Vita build is going to be, I guess that'll fall under the Monogame. I mean that it's actually the guy doing the port is basically the project lead of Monogame, which is pretty cool, because he's the one who always like would come in and put out the fires when I would have issues with the PS4 build. So it's like, if anyone can do it, it's him.
And so that preferred tool set is really what kind of prompted you to move away from Microsoft and towards Sony, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, that was an issue, because you know, I mean, we were using XNA, and there were these extensions, this tool set called extensions for arcade that let XNA code run as XBLA games. You know, like. Yeah, I mean, XNA on Xbox 360 for the most part was the Xbox Live indie games platform, that, you know, the much derided platform, only derided because you know, there was just so much like hobbyist content that everyone was like, oh, this is just trash, you know, get rid of this. There's too much amateur stuff on here, which is another thing that I could totally get into. Let's see, train of thought. So yeah, we were using XNA for Xbox Live Arcade games, and there were some other, like Fez actually was used that same thing, extensions for arcade. Dust and Elysian Tale was another one. Let's see. Bastion was, you know, like a couple of, you know, well-known games were you know, XNA on XBLA. Yeah, when Xbox 360 ended and Xbox One was the new thing, Microsoft was pretty much saying like XNA, we're done with XNA. It's just got us nothing but a. I don't know what the process was that led to it, but it was it was basically this very niche tool set that a few games were on, but not a lot. And then everyone, I think a big part of it was just Xbox Live Indie Games was such a derided platform that that it just didn't seem like there was a benefit to keeping it around. But the reality was there were like hundreds, if not thousands, of developers who really liked XNA and wanted to keep working on it. And so it went this open source version of it, Monogame, became a thing. And Sony was talking to some developers who were using Monogame, and throughout those discussions, PlayStation 4 got support for Monogame, whereas Xbox One did not. So it's like this amazing picture of irony. Microsoft creates this framework, this beautiful framework for game creation, inspires a lot of developers to say, hey, I want to make games. I want to learn how to do this. I mean, books came out, like just websites, blogs, all of this community arose around developing XNA games, and then you have all these kind of orphan developers after the XNA gets shut down, and where can they go? Well, Sony was more than happy to bring those titles to their platform. So yeah, it's this weird switch around. And actually, Monogame is now, I don't know if it's done or it's open source. It'll never really be done, but it's coming to Xbox One, so that's now a possibility. But isn't that amazing? Like, Microsoft created XNA, canceled XNA, the open source community picked it up, and then Microsoft went to that and said, we need this back on our platform, please help us. And and that's where we are now. But yeah, we're XNA, FNA, Monogame, all that stuff.
So where does that leave the potential for, say, Xbox One backwards compatibility for your XBLA games?
Ooh, I don't know, man. We've told them that we're interested.
Right, yeah, we've expressed that, hey, we're interested in doing this, but there may be something about XNA where the backwards compatibility isn't a thing that can be done, but the games could be put on Xbox One, but it just wouldn't be through that backwards compatibility system.
Yeah, well, we'd have to re-release them. We'd have to.
Right,
we'd have to rebuild the.
Right, it'd be a rebuild.
It wouldn't just work. It wouldn't just work. It would take. It would take months or weeks or months of work, and it would be really, really not fun work. It would that's why I make games, because it's fun, and then you end up with this 10% of the work that is just absolutely awful and stressful, and just it feels like you're just keeping a house of cards together. And that's the month or two before leading into CERT. That's that, and then this would be basically taking an old code base and just putting it into that 2 months of just not fun, just get it compliant, all that stuff. And I'm not really crazy about that idea. But we are bringing Dishwasher 2 and Charlie Murder to Steam, so I guess we'll see if how a 5 and 7 year old game do on released on PC, and if it makes sense, we might just pay someone to do the port. Because yeah, it's not fun.
Yeah, when I pinged the rest of the TechRaptor staff, they all, well, not all of them, but the majority of them that said, ask about Dishwasher 3, ask about Dishwasher 3.
Oh, that's fun.
And then about half of them said, ask about backwards compatibility. So at least from our small sample size, I think that there might be a market there anyway.
Yeah.
So, any plans for Dishwasher 3, or?
Not, I think not immediately, but we've said that Dishwasher was intended to be a trilogy. When that will happen, that's another question, but nothing in the pipeline right now.
Yeah, I don't know. And I think a reality of it is just kind of
you kind of have to flow with the market too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just sort of playing toward trends, and that's we I was way into Devil May Cry, Ninja Gaiden Black, like DMC3 was such a perfect game. But like, I mean, like right now there isn't a lot of interest in those types of games, and like I mean, I'm not playing any sort of game like that right now. I tend to just make what I'm playing. So like for Dishwasher 3 to take that approach would be, I mean, it would just, I don't know if I could get into it. Like it would probably be like a very different game, and then that would just kind of be, I don't know where that would leave us. But I mean, I still, I don't know. I mean, the Dishwasher is very, very near and dear to my heart. You know, it's just a really special character. It's a really special series. And I mean, it was kind of how all this became possible was through, you know, through the Dishwasher. So, you know, I don't want to bury him, but I don't know when we'll get back to him. I did, you know, there's some hinty stuff about Dishwasher and Salt and Sanctuary. If you
Yeah,
look
there's
for
some
it,
secret.
I don't know how secret. I mean, it's just like, I don't know.
If you read the text, you'll find it, but it's kind of, there's a lot of text.
Are there any
There's a
Easter
lot
eggs
to
in there
read.
that nobody has found, or at least it's not obvious that people have found yet?
It's,
No, people have even found stuff that wasn't, that like they
it
found
wasn't
like
supposed to be.
yeah, there's like a floating debug island that like we were using. I mean, like we before I just did some other stuff to make it easier. I had like this merchant that I would give all the items and stuff I was testing out, so I could buy them, you know. And later I just made it so I could just, there's like some debug stuff to just give my. But at some point I had a merchant, you know, that you could buy items from, and then there was like a debug thing where you could fly up to where he was, and people found kind of a glitch to get to the merchant that you're not supposed to be able to do, and you know. So that was pretty impressive. So so basically, if there were any, I mean, it kind of blows my mind because it's like I don't think we really had anything of that caliber in there, and then they found the one that was, you know, just like the debug. Okay, it blows my mind.
So let's get people speculating. So what are you playing now?
Oh, right now?
Yeah.
I mean, well, so the latest thing I've been playing has been the new Deus Ex, because I've always just loved Deus Ex games, except the second one. I never played through the second one, but you know, I really liked the first one, and then like when they rebooted it, I was like it's a little bit, it's like super polished, and you know, I mean, that's like when you compare that to the original one was like just all over the place. But yeah, that's what I'm playing now is the new Deus Ex. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I'm playing a lot of Legion right now, which is kind of, it's almost like an embarrassing thing to admit that I'm playing an MMO a lot, but WoW is a thing, and I can't get away from it.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
everybody
I know.
says about Legion. So people should speculate that you guys are going to develop a CRPG next, right?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Oh, we're also playing Overwatch too.
Oh yeah, a lot of Overwatch actually. Kind of not too recently, but a little bit recently when the Witcher DLC came out, I burned through that too. Lots of vampire stuff.
Right. And we still haven't 100%ed. You still haven't platinumed Bloodborne, but
No,
you're
I
so
keep
close.
like here and there
That's-
going back to Bloodborne to try to platinum it, but like,
That's the
man,
only-
there's so many chalice dungeons.
That's the only.
So many.
Oh, I know, right? It's the only PS4 game I've platinumed. I haven't even platinumed our own game because you get to that point where like you've played it so much. Like Dishwasher 1 is the only game that I have gone through and earned every achievement on after it released, because what happens is like while you're developing it, you just, I mean, I've been thousands and thousands of hours into Salt and Sanctuary, and I'm like no, I can do housekeeping. I can't, like, you can't make me play through this whole game. Man.
So I just researched if anyone found that Dishwasher Easter egg, and they did. Someone was talking about it on Reddit.
Well done, Reddit community.
Yeah. Oh, it's on the Salt and Sanctuary Reddit. Yes. Anyway.
So Salt and Sanctuary obviously is an homage, or heavily inspired by the Souls series, right?
Yes.
And the story was really interesting. I mean, you guys did an excellent job, in my opinion. And it seems like there's so many places you could go in that space. Are there any more plans for more Salt and Sanctuary universe stuff floating around?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I like nothing that we could just commit to, but I definitely want to
Yep.
want to keep it moving. Yeah. Yeah. You know, it was like like a lot of ideas went into it. I mean, like the Souls series is the big inspiration, obviously, but a lot of like Song of Ice and Fire and just sort of like observations and stuff such about like the histories of religions and how they interact and diffuse and all that. Yeah, I mean, it was there's so much when I mean, like, honestly, I have a lot of trouble like keeping a lot of it straight now, especially when people like have speculations about stuff, because I'm like, is that like a lot of it was like about designing bosses and just designing levels and stuff, and then figuring out how they all interacted and what they all had to do, like how they all connected and what they all meant. But yeah, I'm proud of it. I'm really proud of how it came out.
So how was the process of bringing that to the PC? Did you guys do that, or did you farm that out?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that. That was like the one big thing that we did since the PS4 launch was and like yeah, I mean, it was pretty painless. It was kind of funny. It was painless was the word I was meaning. That was it was pretty painless. And it's funny because we've done like 3 major effort Xbox 360 games, and then one, when I say major effort, I mean like not like we did a bunch of Xbox indie games, but 3 XBLA ones, that had to get rated, and they're on Metacritic, and they had to get localized and go through cert and everything. And we did the one on PS4, and like compared to console releasing, Steam is just like such a breeze. I mean, they really have it streamlined. Like it's like, what do I need to do? Okay, all right, when do I want to release? Okay, all right, you're good to go. And it's so streamlined. Cert on Xbox, we did Xbox 360 cert and PS4 cert, and like I mean, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna like, I don't want to come down too hard on them. Like, everyone loves coming down on how coming down hard on all the cert processes, because it's like you have to keep that level of quality up, and you can't just I mean that's what people expect from consoles, is like a level of reliability and quality, and like with just this rapidly increasing complexities of games, like you're seeing less and less of that. You're seeing more games are just going out unstable, and I mean, we had issues with ours that we had to fix, so that's why the cert's there for, but it does, like, just going from the console releasing to Steam releasing, like Steam was just so much more streamlined, so much quicker, so much more direct, and it's great. I love Steam now.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really like indie developers typically go PC, and then they're like, okay, well, it did well on PC, let's put it on console. And then we've just, like, it was the Xbox 360 was like the big break for Ska Studios. Oh, thanks, Gato. And then going from that to PC, it was like, oh, this is how the rest of the indie world has been working. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and that opens up your games to the modding community, right? So do you have any plans for maybe releasing mod tools to see what people could do with inside your games?
Oh yeah, we haven't like committed to that. I started work on that, and I think got sidetracked when we switched to focus on the Japanese release. And now we're just, we're kind of working on the Vita stuff, sort of, and the biggest next priority is like wrapping up all the localizations that we screwed up on, because that was a thing that we that was a little embarrassment. Was that the game released with like basically placeholder localizations, and yeah, it was bad. Learned a few lessons there. But yeah, that's our main focus right now, and then I have to finish the whole. So I made I'm working on it, basically like a texture pack tool. And like, again, this is, I don't know if I'll finish this, if this will go out or whatever. And like it also could be like a troublesome legal thing if like everyone just makes texture packs that just like totally are Dark Souls textures, because it's like obviously the game is an homage, but that's what's gonna happen. But yeah, I mean, I have like some texture pack tools in the work, and basically it would enable you to create a texture pack that would just reskin any instance of one texture with a new one, and it's like pretty straightforward and pretty simple. And actually people have been doing that without tools anyway.
Yeah, they've been doing it on their own, and we've seen a few pretty cool crossover armor sets that users can do that we totally couldn't do. But
right. But yeah, I mean that's like a weird because then if we have if there's stuff that could get us in legal trouble, we would be obliged to like pull that content, and then we'd have to be in the business of policing. I don't know. We'll see what happens, because I know, I mean, look, a lot of games with pretty much all games with user generated content support, they have they'll have people making like Spider-Mans and Wolverines and stuff, and I think, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, can that come back onto you? That seems
I don't
like
know.
a really weird gray area.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's such a, and that also like CERT, that is also a horrible part of of game development. Making games is so much fun. The rest of it is like not as fun. This interview is fun.
Hey, all right.
I might be blowing it. I'm awful at interviewing, but hey, whatever. Michelle, why don't you take over for the rest? And I'll just...
Okay, I can do some talking.
So I noticed you guys pitched a Salt and Sanctuary postmortem.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we pitched that. I think really what happened is James typed up all the necessary information to submit that for GDC talk, and he didn't hit send, and we left and went somewhere and came back, and he's like, oh shoot, gotta send that in. Click send, and the form eats his text. So he's like, man, it's midnight, it's close to midnight, it's close to the deadline.
Yeah,
he types in like, the form ate my text, this is a postmortem for Salt and Sanctuary, enter. And like, I think you probably need more information than that to get a talk. So the talk was declined, but a postmortem would be interesting to do.
They actually, so on Twitter, one of the I think he's like a chairperson of GDC or something, like tweeted me on Twitter, and he said you should apply for the Indie Summit instead.
Okay.
So I'm gonna do that.
Okay, apply for the Indie Summit.
And hopefully I get that done before.
Isn't it just like it's the week before it or a couple days before it or something?
Yeah. And hopefully I get that done before like 10 minutes from the deadline.
Yeah.
The deadline is Friday.
And type your text into a document first, and not just into a form.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. That was me like wondering how much clout I have. I guess the answer is I have a little bit of clout. I guess.
Well, you had enough for someone to tweet you. I guess.
I did. Yeah. That's an amount of clout.
The solution is complain on Twitter, and you get an answer.
That's like indie developers are always like complaining about injustices, and no one ever wants to bring injustices to indie developers. Everyone's always like, no, we're the good guys too. And then that's where we end up, is like, if you're an indie developer and you're like, the man has done this against me, and then the man will be like, no, we didn't actually, here's how we'll help you.
Man. If GDC is the man.
Right? GDC totally is the man.
The man.
Okay.
It's like $1,000 a ticket.
It is significant.
So is that postmortem more targeted at other developers then?
Yeah, that would be the idea, I think. It would.
I guess
GDC is a conference for developers.
I guess we could do it like two different ways. One more developer oriented, and then another possibly that's more everyone oriented.
Yeah, and I think, like, I don't know. I feel like non-developers are still interested in
right.
postmortems.
It's interesting to see how a game was made, and all the inner workings behind it, and all the struggles that were so real, and all the tears, all the salty tears.
And that's evidently like the editor for Rock Paper Shotgun. He's like, no one cares about developer hardships or something. On Twitter, I was like, what the hell, man? What?
I guess I should have started this interview asking you guys if you were pathological liars.
No, what? No.
That was from a Rock Paper Shotgun interview with Stephen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No.
Those guys do good work, but sometimes it comes out of left field.
Yeah.
No, yeah. It was like a tweet from like a Kotaku guy who was like, developers, what do you wish gamers knew about developing? And then like this editor from Rock Paper Shotgun was like, how about nothing? No one cares about what a cameraman deals with in making a movie or something, And I was like, actually, that's not even true, because like
A, that's not true.
yeah,
B,
there was like a Reddit Ask Me Anything request for an intervention cameraman, and I'm interested because intervention, that's a messed up show. What do the cameramen actually see? Does it, that's interesting. That's
Yeah, I think it's fascinating, especially with teams your size, etc., because you guys do everything.
mm-hmm.
right.
You know?
What do we see?
What do we see?
You've seen some, yeah, but yeah, I mean, like I think people are interested, and I think more people should know about like what goes into making a game, especially around like the Kickstarter stuff. Like well, we've never kickstarted, but when you see a studio kickstart for like a big seeming amount of money, like like $200,000, that like I think Chasm kickstarted for like 200 grand, right? And um, they I mean, you look at, and that was like 6 years ago or so. Like 200 grand with a team of 4 people split over 6 years is so far below minimum wage. So far below. It's like $2 I haven't done the math at all. I'm just like throwing out numbers. That's like, it could be like $2 an hour. But yeah, like people don't get that game development. It is expensive. It's very time consuming. It's like stressful. There are a million little things that you have to get done, and you never will get all of them done. There will always be things to complain about, and there will always be things to worry about. And when when you don't get them done right, you do feel like you've let people down. And I mean, there's so many things to it. I'm just kind of.
Yeah. So with the two of you, we talked a little bit about this at PAX. How do you handle QA?
So previously, Xbox handled it. They just handled all of our QA, and this time we had to find our own because we went the self-publishing route. So we found. I think we talked to a few other developers and what they do, and we found the Research Centaur, which is an awesome name, and they're a branch of the Behemoth. The Behemoth has their own QA team called the Research Centaur, and we hired out to them for our QA. So we ended up doing that.
Yep.
Yeah, that was an interesting new process we'd never done before, but there was a lot of learning with this game being self-published that we didn't have to deal with before because Microsoft just did everything, and that was kind of nice, and that doesn't really exist anymore.
It's such a I mean, like my first game, Dishwasher Dead Samurai, I had no idea how games were made in the real world. It's all just like a new surprise, and everything was new and weird and different, and like all these aspects of business development were just totally foreign to me. So that was all published first party through Microsoft, and Microsoft handled all of the all of the QA, the LOC, the cert, the release management, marketing, all that stuff. It was just all they asked for from me was a build. That was it. Give you the build. Here are the bugs. Fix the bugs. Give us a new build. Iterate until we're done, and then that would be it. And it was very freeing. And I didn't really ever think anything was wrong with it. But there were a lot of vocal indie developers that hated it. They didn't like that the first party publisher was in this area where they could control so much of of the product that the indie developer is making. So that was that was Sony's big thing with this generation, was like indie developers can self-publish. And so for us, I'm like, well, what does that mean? This is different and weird. What's and it was so much of it was like learning how to become a business, be the business side of a game development, like how to be our own producers, how to figure out all this stuff. And we dropped the ball with localization. Like that was something that Microsoft always took care of. It was just a given. And when it was up to us, especially like between loc and scheduling and QA, like we were figuring out everything as we were going along. And the scheduling with in terms of like content completion versus localization, it just didn't happen. And like now 6 months later, we're just getting to a point where like we're almost done with the loc because we screwed that up, and that was a lesson learned.
Yeah, crash course in project management.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know how to make a game.
Right. It's
I don't know
really
how to be a boss.
it's funny to make three major games and a few smaller games, and then not really have that that project management of it aspect quite down until you have to, until
Yeah.
you're forced to.
Right. Yeah. And then I mean, like, what we could do to improve it is like I would have to hire someone to be my boss, and I don't want to do that. But it's just like how I mean, I guess where I'm thinking is like because of this experience and because of what we learned, we can do it right the next time.
Right. Be on
and
top of it.
and then we don't have to hire a boss. but that's like been an option. Like, oh, we could hire like a producer, someone to tell us what to do. And that seems horrible. I don't want to do that.
That feels like a weird place to be.
Isn't that weird? Yeah. If your boss ever comes down too hard on you, you just fire them, and then that's it. Easy.
Fire your boss. Yeah.
If I hire a boss, can they fire me? Because they'd be my boss. It's weird.
So going back to Xbox indie games, so
Oh, yeah.
there's a lifespan there now. So do you guys have any plans to extend the lives of the games that are on XBLIG past the
they're
termination
shutting
date?
it. Yeah, they're shutting it down in 17, right?
Right, like September 17, I
Yeah.
believe.
Ooh, that's a year. You have a year. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, most of them like so the one that like it's gonna break my heart a little bit, and I don't know what else to do about it. Is ZB2KX. It was like this side-scrolling deathmatch platformer kind of game, and it it was like, I mean, like when it first came out, like you could always play with people. I feel like right now, if you fired it up, there would be no one playing, and I don't know if it'll ever find a home. And that was one of the nice things about Xbox indie games with XNA was the networking library was just very, very robust, very easy to use, very, very well integrated. And I don't know how to bring that to Steam, and then like if it would be the kind of thing that would be like you need dedicated servers, or I don't know how to do networking on PC. It's just like I learned on Xbox 360 through XNA, and that's kind of it. So I mean, there's an area where I don't think there's a good way to move that over. Now I made a game with zombies in it. We could probably put that on Steam, and I've actually because it's like a $1 game. I've been like maybe we can just kind of
How do
like
we work that
sneak it-
out?
Well, maybe we could sneak it into like Dishwasher or Charlie
Right.
Murder or something, where it's like if you buy Charlie Murder, like in the main menu, there's an option to play I Made a Game with Zombies in it, because it's super small. It's like all the images are in one, like all the sprites are like on one image. It's like a super small game, and we could probably sneak that in there.
Or we could pair it up with Time Biking too.
There you go. Right. But yeah, that's I know that's kind of like the tragedy. I think the big wake up call for us about getting our games on PC though is just like when backwards compatibility started, but we couldn't get our games on it, and then I just kind of realized, oh wait, Xbox 360 is going away. We don't have our games on any other platform. That's it. They're just going down with the ship, and so that's why we moved to get Dishwasher 2 and Charlie Murder on Steam.
So the process to get the games on Steam seems to be pleasurable. How about getting eyes on the games on Steam? Because Steam is kind of like how you described Xbox indie games, where it's just a slew of
Right.
I don't
I
want to
don't
say
know how
I don't want
to
to say
do that.
garbage, but it's a
I
slew of games.
Well, so
Slew.
with Salt and Sanctuary, it was pretty lucky because we already had this following building up, mostly because of content creators and streamers. At E3 about last year, yeah, I think last year, not this last E3, but the one before. This big group of streamers came over to us, and they were focused on Souls-likes, and they really wanted to check out our game. And I think they mostly heard about us from this guy Vati Video, and this community just kind of built itself out of the Souls community, and there was all this hype and interest building already. So I feel like we were pretty lucky once our game actually launched on Steam that we had a good success there.
Yeah, I don't know what the approach to trying to get like I'm it's like part of me is just like we'll just put the games there. People will either play them or not, whatever.
We didn't have a very good like marketing push intentionally. It just happened more or less organically, and again, I think that's pretty fortunate that happened because people, other devs will struggle to get noticed, and it's a tough market with games coming out, tons of games coming out every day on Steam.
Yeah, that's actually how I heard about the game, was through Video too. And
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, obviously your games are on Metacritic and they're getting reviewed. Do reviews and scores even matter, or is it that word of mouth and getting on Twitch and getting on streams and on YouTube that really matter?
Well, today it's definitely the YouTube and Twitch. The review scores matter a little bit more in just that you see them and you feel validated or not. I don't
Well,
think
I think
it's there, but I don't think it's as big of a deal anymore.
I mean, I think with Steam, people might have heard
Oh, the
about
reviews
game,
on
and
Steam, sure.
yeah, and then they go to the page and they're like, oh, mostly positive reviews, good, and that's, I mean, if they were like mixed, that could probably hurt sales or whatever. But yeah, I like Metacritic, that feels just kind of like bragging rights at this point, just because I don't know if people. I guess I'll look on Metacritic to see how a game gets reviewed.
Right. I've heard of game studios that will give bonuses based on Metacritic reviews, and I think that's
Oh,
sketchy,
yeah.
not great to do. It's nice to look at, but I don't think it should be the most important thing to look at.
Right.
So how do you guys
Yeah.
feel about the way that the Steam review display has changed recently? Have you really looked into that much?
So that was, I mean, we pretty much started around that time. Like
Yeah.
we didn't have a game on Steam before, unless it like further
Right.
changed.
So we didn't know exactly how it worked when we launched, and we found a few mistakes there. Like there's these checkboxes on the back end that say local multiplayer and co-op, and so we're like, yeah, it's local and it's co-op. We click the two things, but the way it displays in the marketplace, it indicates to people that this is online play. And we got some really mad people immediately on the message boards just yelling like, you guys are deceiving us, you're lying to us to get sales. And it's like, no. If you just saw the back end, you'd see that we didn't understand what that meant. And it was really easy to change, just like uncheck that box and hit submit and it goes through immediately. But it just was a learning process, and it's so funny how people jump to this like, you're deceiving us conclusion from an easy, simple mistake like that.
Oh yeah, lots of lies, greed, deception.
Yeah.
I think people just want they want it to be more like a Game of Thrones kind of situation, or like politics, or like they want this cast of like villains and tricksters, and I mean the reality is a lot more boring than that. It's just like people that like to make games. It's just people who are inspired, and they're like, well, let's make a game, let's put it out there, and everyone on the other side of it, the gamers, they're like, yeah, but what was his true motive?
Yeah, and all the mistakes that happen are really just stupid mistakes, us being uninformed and not being quite aware of what we're supposed to be doing, and that being interpreted as we're intentionally lying. And it's just we're not being aware is what's going on there. But we try to fix it as soon as we can.
Yeah.
So do you notice any difference between the two communities? Like, let's say that just for Salt and Sanctuary, the PS4 community versus the Steam community?
I guess at PS4 there isn't really like a main hub of discussion like there is on Steam. So that's, I mean, basically like we've kind of like added a layer through moderators of sanity between us and the Steam boards anyway.
Yeah, for the first couple of weeks I was monitoring Steam boards myself, and that's a pretty difficult thing to have to do by yourself. And luckily I had some people suggest like, hey, you should really get moderators before the game launches, so you can head off any insanity and cruelty on the message boards. So I found like a group of really awesome people to help moderate, and I was myself reading them, and it's more just managing itself now.
So do you find there's value there?
There's definitely, like, when the game first releases, you can look at it and see immediately what people are saying, and there's an amount of people go on there to complain right away, and you're only going to see that. But you also do see like the positive sides of it, and then any bug reports that come through and major issues that come through, you can deal with right away and give people like a peace of mind of, hey, we noticed this, we're dealing with it. And now I think it's at a point where we can be more relaxed about it and not, I don't know, I think the major issues we've been able to find already, and there's always going to be bugs. There's no such thing as a bug-free
Yeah. Well, yeah,
game, but
and I had to make a post on Facebook saying that, like, you know, we're working on the Vita. Like that's been like a big source of frustration for, you know, for gamers and then for us, because we're just kind of in the middle of it with nothing we can do to expedite it. But you know, the Vita port was, you know, ideally it could have come out on the, you know, ideally it should have come out right around the PS4 release, but you know, the hardware, you know, the tech, the software, the framework wasn't quite there yet, and so you know, I mean, people are frustrated. They want to play the game. Like a lot of people don't want to play the game until it comes out on Vita, and you know, so they're just like holding out for it. And so I've you know, I had to put a post on our Facebook community page that was like, you know, like, if, you know, I mean, you can ask about it, you can say whatever, but if you yell at us for not having it done yet, you know, then I'll just delete the post. You know, if you, because I mean, we committed to cross buy, so if you bought the PS4 version, you know, and like you bought it just because you wanted the Vita version, or like, yeah, whatever. I mean, you could get a refund. That's within your rights, you know. But you know, otherwise you don't get to yell at us. Like, that's just, it's gross. You know, we don't want that. We don't want to be yelled at for something that's out of our control. So it's like, if you're that upset about $18, you can get a refund. It'll be kind of hard to buy the game again once you get the refund. But I mean, that's something else too. But yeah, I mean, it's like, it's basically like, it's not worth. It's not worth feeling bad about myself over your $18. You know, like, you can have it back. I'd rather you have it back than me have like a just an awful day because you said something horrible to me. You know, and that's yeah.
Well, for what my opinion's worth, if it's anything like the PC version, it's going to be worth the wait for those people that are waiting to play it on Vita, because it's one of the best games I've played this year. So.
Oh, thanks. Oh man, yeah, I hope so. We actually, I got to see the game running. Like, I got a build and I deployed it on my dev kit, and it's got a ways to go. But we're basically trying to figure out like what we can, you know, what we can trim out, and you know, in terms of like vision, because it's all like particle effects and a lot of, there's like a ton of parallax and stuff. I mean, this is all just this will get sorted.
And to specify, you're not talking about trimming out content. Because, you know,
Right,
somebody's typing up a message already.
Content's there.
Okay.
yeah, no trimmed out content. But you know, like visually, we're you know, it's going to be like I mean, it shouldn't be like a perceptible downgrade. It's just there's a lot of like stuff like the one thing that I was like, okay, we can pull this is like blood stains on the walls. Like, that's actually like a super expensive shader, I think, because I'm not very good at optimizing. That was the nice thing about PS4. It's like you just get to throw a lot of bad code at it and it just works. Whereas like Vita is much more sensitive. So and you know, Tom, the guy doing the port, he just, you know, he's like a machine with it. Like he just goes to like identify the problem, fix it, identify, fix. I'm working on just getting the UI looking good in the Vita resolution right now, and then because it's faster for me to do that, because the UI, the way the UI is coded is just disgraceful. It's all just a lot of hard coded numbers, you know, and it's really gross. That would be a thing. I could fix it. I could make a UI editor at some point. That's a thing I want to do. But yeah, I mean, so that's what I'm working on. Tom's working on the you know, the performance stuff, and then we'll see like where we are in terms of performance improvements with what, you know, with what I've set up and what he's doing, and just see where we are with that.
So how has the
But
game been received in Japan? Because it seems like it would have, there's a lot of games in the West that just fail to appeal,
Y-
but it seems
Right.
like it would hit a market that's already huge there, considering
Yeah,
the inspiration.
that's kind of what I don't know what we exactly expected, but it's doing really well in Japan. It's really being well received, and it seems to be because that market's there, that Souls like desire is already there, and we kind of made the joke that Western games in Japan don't do so well unless it's using the framework of a game that already exists there.
right,
So,
yeah, yeah, it's Western, it's an indie. Like those typically don't do well in Japan. But like we, just because we had, like some of the guys that work at Sony Japan, especially with Team Japan around Bloodborne, especially Kitao-san, the marketing guy, really liked Salt and Sanctuary, and it was just like such an amazing, like astonishing honor. So he got Miyazaki-san, Hidetaka Miyazaki, to play Salt and Sanctuary while we were at Bit Summit. And like, I mean, a lot of there was a bit of a language barrier, but like they liked it. I mean, it was like he liked it enough to like just be absolutely just mind-blowingly thrilling to me, because I'm like just totally fan geeking
yeah,
out.
or fanboying
Yeah.
out.
So yeah, and then like I guess Sony Japan like got the okay to market Salt and Sanctuary in Japan as 2D Dark Souls, like From Software was okay with that. And
Yeah,
Wow.
which we've heard that just doesn't happen. So it's pretty amazing that it did.
yeah, I mean, it was astonishing, and just it's just so, like just it was just so like humbling and just exciting. Like I was just amazed. So that it did way better than anyone expected. I mean, we were like, I was going into it like, well, maybe because the style of it is more accepted. They'll be able to overlook that we're an indie developer and that we're Western, and but it like far exceeded our expectations.
Awesome.
It's pretty crazy.
So the Vita port is coming along. You're working on it. Michelle, you recently did art for another game, right? Do you want to talk
Yeah,
about that at all?
I did a little bit of art for this some friends of ours, Double Bear Studios. They just released a visual novel called Panic at the Multiverse High, and this is supposed to be a kind of precursor to a bigger game that they're going to be releasing later. And yeah, it's a visual novel. It's pretty silly and chaotic. But I jumped on and did a little bit of artwork for them, mostly like some characters and objects. Yeah.
So for people that might want to interface directly with you, do you guys have a Twitch presence?
Yeah, we have a Twitch that we haven't used a whole lot, but I should be using it again come October. It's just twitch.tv/Ska Studios. And we used to stream on there quite a bit during development, but then we got to a point during development that it didn't make a lot of sense to stream things because it was either the boring work or spoiler work, so we kind of held off on that. And then we were also streaming our D&D campaign. We were doing like the Lost Mines of Fendelver, and that turned into James's custom campaign, and that actually ended a month or so ago. It just ended, and so we haven't been streaming that. But yeah, October I should be streaming again some monster design.
Yeah, you do your
monster of the day.
Yeah, we haven't. Yeah, I'm like, when do I start development streaming again? Because like, again, most of the actual development I've been doing has been like housekeeping, or I guess I could have streamed like some of the UI stuff, because that's just a slog. But like, what I really liked streaming when I was doing dev streaming was animation creating and editing, and because it's time consuming, and it's really fun to I mean, it's fun to do, but it's time consuming, and you don't have to think a lot to do it. You know, like it's you can kind of. I mean, it's like an art stream. Like you can kind of just chat while you're just doing the work. Whereas if you're actually doing coding and you have to talk, it all just kind of goes downhill. It doesn't work very well. At least not with me. Maybe some people can do
Breaks your
it.
attention span. So you said that you wrote up a custom campaign, or at least turned your campaign into
Yeah.
a custom campaign. Is
Yeah.
that a creative outlet for you to kind of get your mind off of development?
Yeah, so that's usually the way the development cycle goes is like we'll do we'll be working on a game and then going through cert, and then like while it's doing all the cert nonsense, I mean not nonsense, going back, but while we're doing all that, I'll like have started the next game already. So like with Dishwasher 1, I think I started Dishwasher 2. I actually started a game that I kind of gave up, that was like after between Dishwasher 1 entering the whole cert phase and when it launched. Like I was already like what's next, and same thing like Charlie Murder I was working on long before Dishwasher 2 was done. And then with Charlie Murder I had been working on Salt and Sanctuary for a while before that was done. But so now what happened is like Salt and Sanctuary is done, and I don't have a new thing that I'm working on, and it's like, I guess I mean, like part of it, there are a bunch of parts to it for why, but the nice thing that is to become a creative outlet is I can do the like D&D kind of stuff as a creative outlet instead of trying to start a new thing, because I mean there's like still the housekeeping for Salt. With previous games, they were like we would just release it and be done. Like I think we've only done like 2 patches ever for all of our Xbox 360 games, and for better or for worse.
Well, for a couple of reasons. At that time it was a lot easier for us, at least, to just finish a game and release it and then do a little bit of updating. But it was also really difficult to get a patch out in the first place. It seemed like it took forever, and getting people on the platform side to to go along with the patch. And
well, with Charlie Murder, there was like no one who worked anywhere near XNA anymore,
Right,
so
there's
no one
nobody
knew
left.
why it wasn't working. Or it was really weird.
there's nobody left to troubleshoot when the patch wasn't working, so it took a really long time to get a simple patch out. It's like we have the patch done and ready, but there wasn't anybody left that worked with anything XNA to get it pushed, and then that was really frustrating for everybody.
And that was a horrible because
It was a really bad, stupid bug.
yeah, there was an achievement that you just couldn't get at all, and it was like such a stupid, because the company that did the test, like they used the debug menu to earn that achievement, so they never actually proved that you could do it.
Yeah, never use debug to test.
Right.
I mean, you can use debug to test, but don't use it as like your final test, especially for an achievement. Just don't do it.
And in all fairness, I did it too. So, but I'm not the.
You weren't the hired QA for this role,
But yeah, it took us like a year to get that patch through, because like so much of it was just trying to find someone who knew anything about anything, and eventually it got through. But yeah, so we've only done 2 patches ever for Xbox 360 games. We've done I think with Salt right now we're on PS4 we're on the 4th patch in America, 3rd patch in Europe, and then PC I think we're on the 5th patch. So like already, I mean it's been way more upkeep and housekeeping than the previous games. So it's good that I haven't started on a new thing yet, and the D&D is a nice creative outlet in the meantime, while I am just still doing the housekeeping. It's ironic because in real life Michelle yells at me because I don't do enough housekeeping. But
You're the lead dishwasher, but you don't really do that many dishes.
I don't. Yeah, sometimes I do.
The irony. Awesome. Is there anything else you guys want to touch on?
We're just, whenever we get a chance to to talk to anyone who will listen. I always love to just thank all.
You love to talk.
I love to thank everyone.
Yeah.
For make, because I mean, obviously, if you make a game and no one plays it, then that's
Then
that.
it's sad.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're really, really grateful that everyone has taken a chance on this game and has played it and loved it. We're really grateful for that.
Yeah.
Because it makes it so we can keep making games. We can keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah. We love our fans fiercely.
Fiercely.
It's a fierce love.
Well, the game is
Raw.
rad. The game is absolutely rad. And for people that, we don't have a review of it up, but for people that want to see it played, our streaming lead, Kevin Parsons, is actually going to be streaming it in the very near future. And so
Nice.
if you watch it being streamed and you don't get excited to play it, we just can't be friends. So
Just can't do it.
And
Cool.
and I mean that we recognize that, like, it's a game for Souls fans. Like that's something that we had to really embrace, because we were tempted to try to open it up to make it more accessible. But I mean, that's what.
I think we took a chance to. We did a little bit of user testing and found pretty much what we had already guessed, in that 1 out of 10 people like the game and the rest just can't deal with it because they want it to be more accessible. And we just took that chance. We're like, you know what? We're gonna aim for that 10%, I guess, yeah, of people that like this kind of game, and we're just really gonna hit that home very hard and stick to our guns. And we did it, and I think it was successful because of that.
Yeah, and there are people who have told us that, like, they never, they were always kind of put off by the Souls series, but then they played our game and they liked it, and then now they're going to try to give Souls another shot. So I mean, there's some crossover, but for the most part, like, what we've observed at conventions and user experience testing and I mean, just friends is like if this isn't your type of game, it's not going to work.
Don't worry about
We're not gonna-
being
yeah.
good at it if you're not. We're okay if you don't like the game.
Right,
Yeah, and it
right.
So we
like-
really appreciate the people who do like it.
yeah, it seems like there would be a lot of crossover too between the Metroidvania fans and, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because there's those
Yeah,
elements that are satisfying in there too.
Right. Yeah, that happens. But yeah, I mean, like in terms of like the feel of the combat, it's really, like, that's probably where this distance itself most from Metroidvania.
Right.
You have like iframes and air juggles, and it's just it's supposed to feel like a 2D cross between the back taking it back to Devil May Cry, which I mean really was like Dishwasher for me. It's
Mhm.
it's like sort of a Devil May Cry 2D, with obviously like tons of Souls feel mechanics, and that's so that kind of goes at odds with the typical Metroidvania. Although I guess I mean Dust and Elysian Tale, that was that nailed it. That did all of that stuff. Got your iframes, you got your juggles,
Had your wall chickens.
you had your wall chickens, yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, and that's actually probably a good crossover if we the fans of Dust, fans of Dishwasher, fans of Dark Souls. That's who we want to. That's the people that get us. I think they get what we're trying to do, and yeah, we are so very grateful to all of them. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's our thing. That's our studio. That's our game. And when we have a new thing, we will tell you all about it very excitedly. We'll be like, we have a new thing, and we've been working on it, and here it is. Behold.
Yeah.
But right now we're in housekeeping mode, and the Vita is coming. Oh my gosh.
It's coming. It's worth the wait, people. Trust me. So, and then we'll be excited to cover whatever you guys have coming next, because there's a lot of fans in the TechRaptor staff.
Cool. I appreciate
Cool.
it.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Keep your eyes on TechRaptor.net for more from Ska Studios. Thanks a lot.